He heard a noise in the kitchen, so got up to investigate.
Hello, is there anybody there?
He was struck in the face and knocked to the floor. The house was ransacked, but the brutal assault continued. A watch was forced from his wrist and a gold ring from his finger. The men fled the property with a number of Bob's valuable finds, including his antique gold angel coin.
I was so shocked to see him sitting there in a pool of his own blood. I just wanted to hold him and take it all away. I just couldn't believe that my big, strong dad, that he was sitting there and he was just lost. He couldn't understand what had happened to him. Even then, he didn't say he was hurting. He didn't say, get me to the hospital. He didn't even want to go to the hospital. He was just typical dad. He just didn't want to go to a hospital. And even by saying that, he still managed to get up and walk down the hall to the stretcher, to the ambulance.
But when I saw him in the A&E department, and to see his face with these bruises and cuts, his hands were bleeding and cut open, what they did to him is unbelievable. Why would you do that to an 87-year-old man?
Despite his horrific injuries, Arthur still managed to tell police about his ordeal.
All I can remember is tall guy, and I said, friendly, what are you doing? And he knocked me down on the floor.
Days went by, he just got worse. The pain was there in his backs and his ribs where they'd constantly kicked him.
He just seemed to close in on himself and go quiet. He just wanted to go home. He just wanted to be in his own words, when can I go back to my warm bungalow? And it never happened.
Bob never recovered from his injuries. He died in hospital 3 weeks after the attack, surrounded by his family.
To see him go this way, it's not fair. It's not fair. Dad was our rock. He's got 3 grandchildren, he's got 3 great-grandchildren. He loved to see them, he loved to know about them.
It wasn't supposed to be like that. The end of somebody's life is not supposed to be like that. I just thought, my poor dad, at 87, to have that happen to him. Somebody that got taken away too early.
A really heartbreaking case, and Detective Inspector Dan Eisen joins me now. Firstly, I just want to make viewers aware that we are going to show a photo of Arthur, which some viewers might find quite upsetting. Dan, talk us through Arthur's injuries.
As you can see, they were horrific. His injuries mainly consisted of fractured ribs, he had bruising to the face, a black eye, and injuries to his arms. Quite significantly, skin had actually been ripped off his left wrist, which we think was down to a watch being pulled off him. Those injuries in itself probably wouldn't have harmed somebody of a younger age in such a great way, but clearly somebody of Arthur's age and somebody similar to Arthur's vulnerability could be fatal and was fatal in these circumstances.
And talk us through what was actually stolen in Arthur's house that the viewers might be able to help with today.
Yeah, there was a number of items stolen from Arthur's house, which mainly consisted of jewellery, gold and bracelets and the like, items that could be in pockets and taken away easily. But the 3 items I'd like the watchers to concentrate on are a ring that was pulled off his finger. Again, images of all this is on our police website. A gold coin that Arthur found during his metal detecting days, which was actually his proudest find. It's called a Henry VIII coin, named Angel. It is worth quite a bit in terms of monetary values, but it's quite a strong sentimental value too. And then just finally, there's a knife. It's what we describe as a gun knife. It's a bespoke item, heavy, 5 to 7 inches in terms of its blade length. On one side, it appears to be an antique pistol, but strange, when you turn it over, it appears to be an antique knife on the other side. So any information in relation to the items of property, that please do let us know.
And you are treating this as a murder investigation, aren't you?
Absolutely. The men that carried this out on Arthur did not commit the injuries accidentally. They went in there with the intention of causing him harm, and that's what they did. So this is a murder investigation.
And there is a substantial reward in this case, isn't there?
Yes, my appeal to people who are watching this programme is there is somebody out there that knows who's responsible for Arthur's death. There is a £40,000 reward for any information that we receive that will lead to a conviction. So what I would like to say to those people out there is ask yourself, if that was your father, what's the right thing to do? And the right thing to do is to make contact with us and talk to us.
Absolutely, well said, Dan. Thank you very much. Rav, back to you.
Such a horrific attack. If you know anything about who did it or you've come across any of Arthur's belongings, do the right thing and get in touch. And to be eligible for that reward, you'll need to speak to Crime Stoppers directly. They're on 0800 555 111. Next, do you recognise any of the people in our daily CCTV roundup? So watch closely. A Saturday evening train that's headed to Newcastle. This man is lingering around the luggage compartment. What's he up to? Despite carrying a bag of his own, he has a rummage through the suitcases. Scouting around, he checks to see if anyone is watching him. You're caught on camera, pal. He grabs a designer rucksack before getting off at Durham. The bag had over £500 of belongings inside and even contained the victim's cancer medication. Do you recognise this tricky thief? Have a good look as he leaves the train. Name, please. It's a Thursday evening at a residential area in East London. Take a good look at the men in high-vis as they walk up to the gate. Police say they claimed to be tradesmen. Watch as they're let into the gated community by a resident who falls for their disguise. Once they're in, they seem to know where they're going, making their way round to a construction area. Scouting out what they can steal, they spot what they're after behind a pair of storage containers. They pop out, but it isn't long before they're back. Casually strolling over, they have their eyes set on something in particular. Revealing what they're after, it's a generator. The power is now in their hands. These bumbling burglars struggle to take it away, receiving help from another unwitting resident on their way out. We know it's a bit grainy, but do you recognise this pair of tools? A Saturday night at a bar in Poole, Dorset. This pair aren't interested in a drink though. They force their way into a main office and it doesn't take them long to find what they're after. The safe. Somehow they seem to have a key to open it. Emptying the contents, they take note after note. It's believed the safe contained over £4,000. It wasn't long until a staff member discovered the break-in, but by this point, they were nowhere to be seen. Police believe this is them making their escape at the back of the bar. Take a look at this thieving duo. Recognise them? You know what to do. A summer's afternoon in Nottingham. Keep an eye on the back fence of this house. Did they not spot the gate on the right? That's an odd way to enter a garden. Maybe they haven't been invited. The three blokes clamber over and sprint across the lawn. If you look closely, you can see that one of them has got an axe. They smash the kitchen window using the weapon and head inside. Unable to find what they're looking for, they try another room of the house. This trio can't get in though. Frustrated, they flee. Police believe they headed back the way they came. We know their faces are covered, but do you recognise their clothing? Help police unmask these three. If you know anyone caught on camera there, you know what to do. You can call us for free on 08000 468 999 or you can text us on 63399, text crime. Leave a space and then type your message. Text will be charged at your standard message rate or send us an email. That's your address there, cwr@bbc.co.uk. crimewatch.co.uk.
Over the last few years, there's been an increasing number of cowardly, often devastating acid attacks. It's a crime that's commonly found in big cities, so even more shocking to have happened in a leafy suburb in Cheshire.
He was just stood there in front of me, and I just seen his hand come up. They threw it at my face. They threw it at my eyes. It is the most cowardly thing anybody can ever do to anybody.
The pretty town of Lymm is home to Adam Pritchard and his family.
I'm a self-employed builder who does mainly conversions, renovations, extensions. And what I like about my job is building something from scratch. Every job you do has got a little bit of you stamped to it. And it's nice when the sun's out and your radio's on.
Adam loves being a builder, it's his life. He's not known anything different. He's just, it's in him. If he's not building, he's not happy.
Adam is a die-hard Everton fan, but his main priority is his 3 daughters.
Adam would absolutely die for our girls. He just adores them. Like, the girls are his main priority, why he gets up in the morning, why he goes to work. He's amazing. He's just a really good guy.
Kerry has lived in Lymm all her life. Adam moved here 8 years ago.
Around here, it's normally very quiet. It's a lovely little village area.
On the 4th of August last year, Adam was working on a property on Grammar School Road.
I was building an orangery down the road. It was Friday. I was doing the timber for the glass roof. The clients I was working for was away on holiday, so I was the only one there. So there's me and my radio. I heard a noise round the back, so I bobbed my head round. There was a lad looking through the window.
The man said he was after scrap metal. Suspecting he was up to no good, Adam tried to usher him off the property.
As we come through the gates, we come to the front of the house. A second lad walks out.
Increasingly concerned, Adam again asked both men to leave.
As I went to close the gate behind, the little one turned round to me and said, "I come back here and I stab you." I just thought, it's an empty threat. I didn't expect him to come back. I just thought, that's it. So they got in the van and they drove off. I thought nothing of it.
Adam spent the weekend with his family and returned to the same house the following week.
Monday morning, as I was emptying the van, there was literally no one there. I got my last piece of timber off, turned round, he was just stood there in front of me.
The man from Friday was back, and he hadn't come empty-handed.
It was like a water balloon. It just like hit me on the top of the head, and all this water come down.
But it wasn't water that Adam could feel. This was an acid attack.
As I dropped my arms, I could see the floor was fizzing. That was the initial, what's this? My arms started to sting then I got the smell. And the first thing that went in my head is, I need water.
By chance, Adam had a wheelbarrow filled with water in the garden.
I jumped in the water, and I was just putting the water over my face and trying to get everything off.
Adam's quick reactions helped to save his face, but his arms took the toll.
He's hurt on his forearms. So they look like they are cigarette burns, but they got bigger and bigger as the weeks went on. And the pain that he was under was just, it was horrendous.
9 months on, Adam still doesn't have full use of his arm.
I'm still in pain. I'm on loads of tablets that I have to take every day at night time. It's been horrendous. It's just been horrible.
These life-changing injuries have stopped Adam from working.
Adam's always been the breadwinner of the house, and it's his job, really, that's kept us going. So to have that taken away has been a massive strain to all of us in the family.
They set out that day to take everything away from me. They threw it at my face. They threw it at my eyes. They tried to take my ability to work away. They tried to take the ability of me ever see my kids grow up. They tried to take everything away, and they could run away and get no repercussion. It is the most cowardly thing anybody can ever do to anybody.
It's hard to understand what motivates people to carry out these type of attacks. Fortunately, they're very rare in Cheshire, but it's clear that they have a huge impact on the victim. The offenders have pre-planned this attack from a few days before when the argument first took place. It's cowardly and it's vengeful.
I did nothing wrong. I did absolutely nothing wrong. I still can't work out why they wanted to do what they did to me.
A terrible ordeal for Adam. Inspector Hannah Friend joins me now. Hannah, what do we know about the man that did this? Because you do believe the attacker was one of the would-be burglars that Adam managed to scare off.
That's right. So the male who's thrown the acid at Adam is described as an Eastern European male. He's olive skin, he's 5'8" in height and of a medium build. We think he's aged in his late 30s, and he's got short black hair which was brushed forward. He's described as wearing a grey hooded zipped top, which Adam says was looking dirty in appearance.
The van was quite distinctive as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So it's an old white Ford Transit vehicle with rusting to the wheel arches. We think it's a Mark II model, which means it would have been produced at the end of the 1990s into the early 2000s.
And remind us of where the attack took place.
So Adam's first seen the two offenders on the afternoon of the 4th of August 2017. It's 3 days later that the attack has taken place. So that was in the morning of the 7th of August between 8:30 and 9 in the morning. And that's outside the address where he was working. And that's Grammar School Road in Lymm in Cheshire.
How can the public help you today?
I'm appealing to anyone who was in that area around that time who might recognise the description of the male or the vehicle to please get in touch. It's possible the offenders have come from further afield, so I'm appealing more widely to anyone who might know who's responsible for this awful attack. Please get in touch. We need any information that you can provide.
And you mentioned that thankfully Adam is now back in work and feeling a bit better, which is great to hear. Thank you very much, Hannah. It's also worth knowing that victims of any kind of crime can contact victim support, and their contact number is 0808 16 89 111. Rav.
Right, lots more to come this morning, including a new recruit for Staffordshire Police. We follow PD Cooper on the hunt for dodgy cash.
He's so good, Coopsy. Come here. Yeah, good boy.
And the one-of-a-kind handmade doll's house that took years to build, stolen. Can you help return it home? First, it can't have escaped your attention that we're having some pretty hot weather at the moment, and if you ride a motorbike, it may seem tempting to leave the leathers at home, but my guests this morning are urging riders not to take that risk. Inspector Rob Gwynn-Thomas joins me now. Rob, you're a traffic officer with South Wales Police, and you're seeing a lot of riders at the moment are doing just that, not wearing the protective equipment, aren't you?
Yeah, sadly, Rav, in this hot weather, what we're finding is riders are riding in sort of T-shirts, shorts, trainers, and even flip-flops. And if you come off and have a crash, you're going to potentially have some pretty serious injuries.
And we're not just talking about long-distance, high-speed journeys. It could be any journey. If you come off wearing just that, you're going to get injured, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. You know, on sort of short journeys, what we recommend is you wear a protective jacket with the protection on the elbows, some good motorcycle jeans with protection for the vulnerable areas such as the knees, boots, gloves, and of course the helmet.
Yeah, and now just talk us about the law. What do you legally have to wear?
Well, legally, all the law covers is the actual helmet, that it has to be fitting and you have to do it up. Other than that, there is no legal requirement to wear safety kit. So what we're actually doing is educating and engaging in motorcyclists to show the benefits of wearing that kit.
Yeah, and your officers certainly wouldn't go out without wearing kit similar to this, protecting themselves, so riders should be doing the same. OK, Rob, thank you very much. Now, in case you're in any doubt, about the dangers of not wearing protective clothing. Plastic surgeon Howell Daffith is here now, and it's your job to repair people that have come off motorbikes and had accidents if they're not wearing protective equipment. You're going to demonstrate now just how brutal, in many ways, the medics have to be to repair someone, aren't you?
That's right. I've mocked up a piece of meat here, having scuffed it up on the road. It is nothing like as severe as you'd see in real life. I can't replicate the weight of the person or even the speeds involved, but it gives you a flavour of the kind of issues we have.
And we can see that now. So this is just behind our studios, similar to the road surface we would all ride on. It's just a piece of meat from the butchers, and as you say, you can't replicate the speed or the force, but it's you know, as close as you can do. So what are you going to do now to clean this up, as you would do in theatre?
Well, it's barely recognisable as a piece of meat, as you can see. So we start off just with washing, and you can see it's taking a bit of effort here to try and even vaguely get back to the skin.
Yeah, that's not, and your scrubbing there is not working. So what would you do if that doesn't clean it up enough?
No, it almost never does. So we'd grab a scrubbing brush and we'd really start going for it and trying to get this ground in dirt out.
Really going in there, and you're going quite. But still, it's not
really budging,
coming off, is it? So you're still giving it a rinse, and it's still there. So if it's still at this stage needs cleaning. You're going into the tools now. What's this?
That's right. This is a surgical instrument called a Volkmann spoon. It's a type of curette with a sharp edge, and we start scratching at these cuts and grazes where the
that is making my eyes wince, to be honest.
This is why they have a general anaesthetic.
OK, but there is still quite a bit of the dirt still there. So at this stage,
well, there's no resort left to us really than to reach for the scalpel. And we need to start actually physically cutting out these pieces of skin where the dirt's been ground in so much we simply cannot get it out.
And if you don't get the dirt out, what would happen if the skin was to close over the top of that?
Well, in the short term, you've got risk of deep infections, which would be quite a serious issue. Or if the skin does manage to heal over the top, then you're left with a dirt tattoo, which is permanent, as is all the scarring that goes with it. OK, it is both fascinating and pretty uncomfortable to see, but thank you so much for coming in, Howell. And we'll be taking a closer look at police in action targeting dangerous road users in tomorrow's programme. Michelle.
Now here at Staffordshire Police HQ, there's a new recruit who's fast becoming a local celebrity.
Meet PD Cooper. He's the latest addition to the dogs unit at Staffordshire Police.
Police dog Cooper is such a special dog because he's very unique to Staffordshire Police. He's the only Staffordshire Bull Terrier that we've got in Staffordshire, and there's only 3 Staffordshire Bull Terriers in the country that are trained to his standard.
2-year-old PD Cooper lives with his handler PC Moss, but he's not always had it so good.
He's a rescue dog from RSPCA in Taunton. His life's turned around so much from just being dumped on the roadside and the RSPCA picking him up. He's got a use in life, and he knows he has, and I think that's why he's more thankful than anything else, and I think that makes him more loving and more caring.
Cooper is trained to find drugs, firearms and money. Having recently graduated from Police Dog Academy, he still needs to practice regularly.
These are swabs inside these containers. In here is cotton wool with crack cocaine on it. We'll hide this inside this room somewhere, and then we'll let PD Cooper go and find it. Hopefully he will. Find it. Get on, mate. Come on, Coops. Get on. Where's it? Find it. See, that's the pause, that's the indication. Where's it?
The training has paid off. Cooper soon finds the drugs.
Boy, he's so good, Coopsy. Come here. Yeah, good boy.
He's scented it from here, which has drawn him straight into the chairs there where you've seen where we planted it. And that's when he's froze. So, quick indication and ball as a reward. Good boy. Yes.
Cooper works as part of a 2-dog team, and his partner in crime fighting is Belgian Malinois PD Henry.
It's 2 totally separate incidents that you'd use them for. One for searching for drugs, firearms and cash, Police Dog Cooper. Police Dog Henry to go and find property or find people. Police Dog Henry is a solid dog. He's a tough breed. He goes to all the major crime things. He'll go to knife incidents, he goes to firearms incidents. So he's sort of all the muscle. And then PD Cooper over there has got all the love.
Mission accomplished for Cooper. But it's not long before he's off onto his next assignment. A guest appearance at Staffordshire Police's open day.
Look, he's excited. Are you going skating?
He's got 4,500 followers on Twitter, which is absolutely amazing in the 12 weeks. Everywhere I go, nobody's looking at me. They're all looking at Police Dog Cooper.
We just love, we've been following him on Twitter because we've always had staffies. There's so many of them in rescue, so to see Cooper doing really well, they're fantastic dogs, he's an absolute star, and let's hope he's the first of many.
Just shows how you can turn your life around from being a rescue dog into a police working dog, and it's a breed that no one would ever think could be a police dog. Home time. Home time, Mr. Cooper. Come on then.
Great work from PD Cooper there. He really is one of the elite. Only 1 in 5 make it through the training to become official police dogs. Later on, we're going to be seeing just what it takes to make the grade and how they're kept on top form.
Next to the West Midlands, where a team of dedicated officers are clamping down on the cannabis trade. The UK's cannabis trade is worth around £1 billion a year. It's cultivated in people's homes and in industrial-size operations run by organised gangs. But the West Midlands Cannabis Disposal Team is working hard to stamp out this illegal trade.
We're dealing with around 4 or 5 cannabis factories a day, generally. They come into us either through warrants, which have been community-led intelligence, or spontaneously, where we've discovered a cannabis factory for another reason, for instance, a fire or a search of a premises on an unrelated matter.
The team must be ready to react at a moment's notice. A report has come in of a significant cannabis farm in a suburb of Birmingham. Arriving on location, the team gets ready to make their first assessment under Mike's command.
2 officers will go in first to check for our safety and to give us a brief of what exactly we're facing in there. They'll check for floorboard safety, any structural alterations, any electrical hazards that might be in there.
One of the main things we check when we wreck a place is if there's any booby traps. They'll have nails put in the back of the doors so that when you're entering a room, it can catch you on your hand.
The house is declared safe to enter, and the team begins the task of seizing this huge haul of mature plants.
This room is typical of the way rooms are converted. All the electricity feeding the high-intensity lights, fans and ventilation systems. This fan is as heavy as a domestic fridge and it's just hanging on wires above our head from the ceiling. There's also where the ventilation goes. They've knocked holes into the chimney breast and taken away some of the brickwork.
The criminal gang behind this farm have left the rented property in a hazardous state. They've even bypassed the meter to steal electricity.
They connect the electricity just using the live and neutral, and they don't earth the sockets. So potentially every bit of metal in this premises could have been electrified, including the radiators and the taps.
The high-value crop of more than 200 plants has been bagged up. And the team gets to work dismantling the site.
Cannabis farm of this size would probably cost about £15,000 to set up with the equipment, the lighting, the ventilation and all the grow materials. So what we aim to do to disrupt the drug network is take away the criminals' initial investment and take away any of their future profit, obviously by taking the cannabis away. And you can see here that people like to protect their investment, and these are some of the dangers that us, as the police, face when we go into cannabis factories.
The bags full of cannabis are removed, and another successful raid comes to an end. The drugs are taken to a secure compound back at base, ready to be destroyed.
Yeah, some great work there. Now, Stanley Rees from Wavertree in Liverpool spent years lovingly hand-making a doll's house for his wife, Margaret. Sadly, Stanley died in 2008, but the family continued to treasure the unique house he had put so much of his time and effort into building. That was until thieves struck earlier this year. And Callum, you're Stanley's grandson. Tell us, why was this so important to the whole family?
it was just one of a kind. It was magic, real life magic, in fact, and it was something that came about in terms of he always had a hobby of making things.
Yeah.
And as time went on, my nan obviously started to enjoy dolls' houses. And
because I know your granddad meant so much to you growing up, and we can see this doll's house that he made, and this took years, didn't it, for him to make?
You think about 7 years.
About 7 years, and even to the point like the little fireplaces and stuff he built himself.
Handmade, yeah.
And this is something that your nan also helped.
Yeah, she done the tapestries and stuff inside, so she's earmarked them with her signature with the MR on them, and they're all hung up on the wall. But obviously the frames done by my granddad, and she done all the tapestries. So again, it took a lot of time, a lot of love.
It's an amazing piece of work, but this meant so much to your nan, and I know that sadly your granddad's no longer here, and your nan's in ill health, and she was losing her memory.
Yes.
And it was when she was away being treated for dementia between January the 28th and February the 11th. The thieves struck.
Yes.
And they broke in and they stole this.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to get it back, isn't it? Because it meant so much to her.
Yeah, and you speak to her now, it's the only thing that she really remembers, and for the whole family as well, it's sort of that being taken away. It's the last part of my granddad, really, that we have to remember.
And we've also got the TV cabinet, which was made to look like the doll's house, because your nan didn't like the look of the telly. But she did want that, and that was stolen as well.
Yeah, and that was a lot smaller. Obviously, I think, you know, people might come across that maybe, that might lead us to, obviously, someone nowhere.
It's not about the money, this one. This is about the sentiment.
The sentimental value in terms of, I mean, I just want to get it back from my nan before it's too late.
Absolutely, Callum, thank you. Let's get that doll's house back where it belongs, and the cabinet. If you've seen that remarkable piece of work or have any information about it, please do get in touch. Michelle.
Now I'm back with local celebrity PD Cooper and his handler Tim Moss. Now earlier we heard how he became the first Staffordshire Bull Terrier to serve with the Staffordshire Police, which is very impressive. What are you guys up for the rest of the day then? What's the plan?
Well, as soon as we've finished here, we're covering the whole county today, so if any other jobs operationally come in, we'll be deployed to them.
Busy, I'll leave you to it then.
Thank you.
Nice to
Cheers,
see you.
bye.
Take care, Cooper. Now, obviously, Cooper has a lot of friends here who are all doing their bit to fight against crime. Joining me now is Inspector Matt Derrick. This is quite an important day for the dogs, isn't it? What are they up to?
Very much so, yeah. Some of the dogs today are licensing, so that means they're tested and they have to meet criteria set down nationally, so they all come up to standard.
OK, fantastic. And we've got a training scenario going on here,
indeed.
so talk me through it.
Yeah, so we've got, we'll have police dog Bolt and his handler Steve Smith dealing with an armed subject. Steve will deploy from the car. He'll get Bolt out the back. He'll go for a position of cover where he'll put a challenge into our subject. What we're going to show here is a recall, so John will put the gun down, and we've got to make sure the dog can be recalled from that, so the level of threat comes down. The dog has to be withdrawn, so it doesn't proceed to cause the subject any harm. So what you'll see is John will disarm, Bolt goes, and then he's recalled immediately.
That's amazing. That's really impressive. Straight back again.
Yeah, it's a tough skill for the dog to learn. Threat continues, it's back again now, so Bolt will continue and see that one through to completion. So.
That is amazing to see, and as you say, I can imagine the training for this is pretty tricky, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So a 13-week course, the dogs go through, and then constant training and licensing from there on in.
And you've got a lot of a variety of dogs here, haven't you?
Yes, we've got over 30 dogs in force, general purpose dogs, which are the ones that do tracking and searching and deal with issues like this, like Bolt. Dutch herders, German Shepherds and Belgian Malinois and crossbreeds therein, and then specialist search dogs, search for guns, firearms, drugs, explosives, and they're generally Spaniels, Labradors, or as you've seen, Staffordshire Bull Terriers.
And we've talked about the training being difficult. What is the success rate for the dogs here?
Yeah, so we try and minimise the likelihood of failure in getting dogs from really good working bloodlines from reputable breeders. But we also get gift dogs given to us by members of the public, and generally we look at about 20% of those dogs are successful coming
20%.
through. So yeah, it's we insist on the highest standards. Obviously, we're deploying a fairly dangerous thing into the public arena.
Absolutely.
We have to make sure they're up to standard.
They need
and
to be
are
up to
properly
scratch,
licensed.
don't they? Absolutely. And just seeing them, it's almost, they enjoy what they're doing. They have to be very agile as well,
They do.
running long distances, scaling up walls. So it's fantastic to see.
Yeah,
Thanks very
absolutely.
much, Matt.
Thank you.
Ralph, back to you.
Time now for a look at today's wanted faces, and first up is Sultan Amari, but you may know him as Simon. He was on trial for raping a woman in Chester but didn't hang around for the guilty verdict and was sentenced to 11 years